Have you ever felt drained after interacting with a certain person? A question we've all asked ourselves at some point, isn't it? You see, we navigate a world brimming with diverse personalities daily. Some individuals fill us with joy, inspire us, and help us grow. Yet there are others who, after spending just a few minutes with them, leave us feeling emotionally, mentally, or even physically exhausted. It's as if they've sapped all our positive energy, leaving us with nothing but an empty shell of our usual vibrant selves. These individuals, my friends, are what we refer to as energy vampires. Yes, it sounds a bit dramatic, but let's not confuse them with the mythical creatures of the night. These vampires exist in broad daylight, and they might be closer than we think. Energy vampires come in many forms. They could be a friend who never stops complaining, a family member who constantly criticizes, or a colleague who thrives on gossip and negativity. They're not necessarily bad people, but their energy can be toxic, draining, and ultimately harmful to our well-being. The concept of energy vampires isn't new. It's been recognized in various cultures and spiritual practices for centuries. Many believe that our interactions with others can influence our personal energy fields, either positively or negatively. And when we're around energy vampires, it's as if they're sucking our energy, leaving us feeling depleted and drained. But here's the tricky part. Energy vampires often aren't aware they're draining others. They might believe they're just expressing their feelings or sharing their problems. But the result is the same, leaving us feeling worn out, stressed, and even unwell. So how do we identify these energy vampires? How do we know if we're dealing with one? Identifying an energy vampire isn't always easy, but there are signs, patterns that can help us recognize them. So what exactly are the signs that you may be dealing with an energy vampire? Let's dive in. One of the first signs of an energy vampire is an overwhelming sense of fatigue or drain after interacting with them. This feeling of exhaustion isn't your run-of-the-mill tiredness. It's a deep-seated weariness, as if all your vitality has been sapped away. But how does this happen? Let's dive into the mechanics of it. Picture this. You're in a conversation with someone, and before you know it, you're not just listening. You're being bombarded with their problems, their opinions, their life. They dominate the conversation, leaving no room for your thoughts or feelings. This is a classic tactic of an energy vampire. They make the interaction all about them, and subtly, or sometimes not so subtly, drain your energy in the process. But it's not just about dominating conversations. Energy vampires have a knack for seeking attention. They revel in the limelight, often turning even the most mundane situations into a stage for their own performance. Their need for attention is insatiable, and they'll go to great lengths to ensure they're the center of your focus, leaving you feeling mentally and emotionally depleted. Now let's talk about their behaviors. Energy vampires are often steeped in negativity. They might constantly complain, criticize, or generally exude a pessimistic aura. This negativity can be contagious, dragging you down into their vortex of gloom. They may also display toxic behaviors, such as manipulative tactics, playing the victim, or exhibiting passive aggressiveness. Interacting with them can feel like walking on eggshells, leaving you constantly on edge and drained. But these are just a few signs. There are more subtle indicators to be aware of. Recognizing an energy vampire is the first step to protecting your energy and mental well-being. So, stay tuned as we delve deeper into the more elusive signs in the next part of this series. Another sign of an energy vampire is feeling a sense of dread or anxiety about interacting with them. Imagine a sense of unease creeping in whenever you're around certain people. You might not be able to put your finger on the exact reason, but you just feel a bit on edge. This is a classic symptom of being around an energy vampire. These individuals often have an uncanny ability to make us feel uncomfortable, even in the most ordinary situations. You may also find yourself feeling guilty or obligated to spend time with them, despite your instincts screaming at you to retreat. Why is that? Well, energy vampires are often very skilled manipulators. They have a knack for making you feel as though you owe them your time and energy, even when you'd rather be anywhere else. You could be having the worst day, and they'd still find a way to make it about them. They might even make you feel guilty about not being there for them, or not being able to meet their needs. This is a clear sign you're dealing with an energy vampire. They don't respect your needs or boundaries. Instead, they're focused on fulfilling their own needs, often at your expense. This constant pressure to appease them, to cater to their needs while neglecting your own, can leave you feeling emotionally drained. You might end up feeling like you're walking on eggshells, always trying to avoid their displeasure or the guilt trip that comes when you fail to meet their expectations. It's important to remember that it's not your job to cater to anyone else's emotional needs at the cost of your own well-being. We all have a right to our own space, our own energy, and our own peace of mind. If someone consistently makes you feel otherwise, it's a sign that they're draining your energy, and it might be time to reassess that relationship. These signs are all red flags, but how does this impact our mental health over time? Dealing with an energy vampire can take a serious toll on your mental health. Imagine, if you will, a balloon. Each interaction with an energy vampire is like a tiny prick in the balloon's surface, releasing a bit of air, a bit of your energy each time. Over time, these small punctures can lead to a deflated sense of self, a fatigue that is more than just physical. It seeps into your mental and emotional state as well, leaving you feeling drained and depleted. This constant drain of energy can lead to feelings of stress and anxiety. You may find yourself constantly on edge, waiting for the next draining interaction. You might constantly worry about your next encounter, the next conversation, the next request for your time and energy. This chronic stress can be harmful, leading to a range of health issues from headaches to high blood pressure. And let's not forget about depression. When you're constantly giving away your energy without getting anything back, it's easy to feel like you're in a one-sided relationship. This feeling of imbalance can lead to feelings of sadness, hopelessness, and a lack of interest in things you once enjoyed. But the impact of an energy vampire doesn't stop at stress, anxiety, and depression. There's another aspect we need to talk about: chronic fatigue. Chronic fatigue is a persistent feeling of tiredness or exhaustion that's not relieved by rest. It's a fatigue that affects not just your body, but your mind as well. You may find it hard to concentrate, to make decisions, or to find the energy to engage in your usual activities. Chronic fatigue can interfere with your work, your relationships, and your overall quality of life. It can make you more susceptible to illness, as your body's resources are constantly being drained. It can even lead to burnout, a state of emotional, physical, and mental exhaustion caused by excessive and prolonged stress. It's clear that dealing with energy vampires can have a significant impact on our mental health, but it's important to remember that you're not alone, and there are strategies you can use to protect your energy and your well-being. And the effects don't stop there. Over time, the effects of dealing with an energy vampire can become more severe. The constant drain on your emotional resources can become a persistent weight, leaving you feeling perpetually exhausted. Imagine trying to fill a cup with water, but there's a hole at the bottom. No matter how much you pour in, it never seems to be enough. That's what dealing with an energy vampire can feel like. This kind of emotional fatigue can lead to burnout, a state of chronic physical and mental exhaustion. You may find yourself feeling cynical or detached from your own life, struggling to find motivation or joy in things you once loved. You may feel like you're running on empty, with no energy left to give to yourself or others. Moreover, constant interaction with an energy vampire can cause a serious dent to your self-esteem. They have a knack for making you feel inadequate, guilty, or responsible for their happiness. You may start to question your worth, doubting your own opinions and values. This can lead to a damaging cycle of self-doubt and low self-esteem, further feeding into the energy vampire's control over you. Perhaps one of the most insidious effects of dealing with an energy vampire is a sense of isolation or loneliness. You may start to withdraw from your social circles, avoiding interactions to save your energy. The world may seem a little less bright, a little less inviting. You may feel alone, even in a room full of people. But remember, you're not alone. Many of us have come across energy vampires in our lives, and it's important to remember that their behavior is not a reflection of your worth. You are not responsible for their happiness or well-being. Remember, it's important to protect your energy and prioritize your mental health. Recognizing the signs of an energy vampire is the first step towards doing so.